I got a strange text from my husband's brother, Daniel. We were never close. He only messaged me when their father wanted something or when he needed to vent about family drama. The message read, "Hey, we're having a small family gathering this Sunday at Dad's house. It's important. Be there at 3 p.m. It's a surprise, so don't tell Ethan, just show up." I frowned at my phone and showed the message to my best friend Natalie. She immediately looked suspicious. Why wouldn't Ethan know about a family meeting? He's always the first to be looped in on these things, she said. She had a point. My husband Ethan was ridiculously close to his family. If they were planning something big, he would have mentioned it. I decided not to say anything to him until I found out what was going on myself. That Sunday I arrived at his father's sprawling estate. The moment I stepped inside, I knew something was off. The entire family was already gathered in the living room. His father, Richard, his mother, Linda, Daniel, his younger sister, Emily, even his aunt and uncle from out of state. They sat in a semicircle like some sort of tribunal. "Sit down," Linda said. Her tone clipped. I remained standing. "What's going on?" Richard slid a folder across the coffee table toward me. "We need you to sign these, it's for the best." I picked up the papers and glanced at them. My heart nearly stopped. Divorce papers. I let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "You've got to be kidding me." Linda folded her hands in her lap and gave me the same condescending look she always did. "You don't belong in this family, Sophie. You don't respect our values, and you're holding Ethan back." Emily smirked. "We're handling this so Ethan doesn't have to go through the stress. If you sign now, we'll make this easy for you." I looked at all of them, my stomach twisting at their arrogance. Did they really think they could push me out of my own marriage like this? "Where's Ethan?" I asked. "He's not here," Richard said. "He doesn't know about this. We're trying to spare him from making a difficult decision." I shook my head in disbelief. "So you're ambushing me with divorce papers behind his back and expecting me to just go along with it?" Linda smiled like she had already won. "It's for the best." That's when I reached into my bag and pulled out my own folder. I tossed it onto the table. "Actually, I have a surprise for you too." Richard frowned and grabbed the folder. As he flipped through the pages, his face turned a deep shade of red. His hands trembled. What is this?" he stammered. Emily peeked over his shoulder, her smirk vanishing. "How did you get this?" I crossed my arms. "I've known for a while. I was just waiting for the right moment." Ethan's uncle picked up a sheet and scanned it, his brows furrowed. "Richard, is this true?" The room fell into a tense silence. Richard didn't answer. His mother looked horrified. Then, right on cue, Ethan walked in. "Hey, Dad said there was some kind of—" He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes darting between the stack of papers and the stunned expressions around the room. "What's going on?" Linda straightened up quickly. "Ethan, sweetheart, sit down, we can explain." Before they could spin their story, I turned to Ethan. "Your family tried to force me to sign divorce papers behind your back, but they weren't expecting me to have my own paperwork." Ethan looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I pointed at my folder. "That's proof of everything I found. Bank records, hidden transactions, emails. You should take a look." He hesitated, then picked up the papers. As he flipped through them, his face went pale. His hands tightened around the sheets. "Dad, what the hell is this?" he asked, his voice unsteady. Richard said nothing. "Mom, tell me this isn't real," Ethan pleaded. Linda avoided his gaze. I stepped closer. "It's real, Ethan. Your father has been siphoning money from your accounts for years. Failed investments, shady business deals, even paying off Daniel's gambling debts. Every time they ran out of money, they took it from you." Ethan looked like he had been sucker punched. His breathing turned shallow as he flipped through the documents faster, panic creeping in. This can't be real." "Oh, it's real," I said, turning another page. "And it gets worse. See this? That's proof your parents used our house as collateral for one of their risky loans." Ethan's head snapped up. "They did what?" The color drained from Linda's face. His uncle exhaled sharply. "Richard, tell me you didn't." Still, no answer. Ethan turned back to me, his voice hollow. "How long have you known?" "Long enough," I said. I wasn't going to bring it up until I had undeniable proof. Ethan let the papers slip from his hands. He ran a hand through his hair, looking like he was about to be sick. Richard finally spoke, his voice gruff. Ethan, we did what we had to. You wouldn't understand. Ethan cut him off. No. You stole from me, lied to me, and you tried to force my wife out so you wouldn't have to face the consequences. Linda tried to reach for his hand. Sweetheart, we can fix this. Ethan pulled away. No, Mom, you can't. He turned to me, his expression filled with regret. Sophie, I'm so sorry. I met his gaze and nodded. I know. As his family sat there in stunned silence, Ethan grabbed my hand. Let's go, he said firmly. And just like that, we walked out together, leaving his family to deal with the mess they had created. That loan failed. If we hadn't caught it in time, we would have lost our home. Ethan's hands started shaking. He turned to his father, his eyes filled with anger and betrayal. You did what? Richard's jaw was clenched so tight it looked painful, but I wasn't done. Your family made me the villain, Ethan. They painted me as a distraction while they drained your money, and now that I know the truth, they tried to get rid of me before I could tell you. Emily snapped. That's a lie. I looked at her calmly. Oh, really? I reached into my bag and pulled out another folder, tossing it onto the table. Copies of her messages, bank transfers, undeniable proof. Maybe explain why you were bragging to your friend about how easy it was to trick Ethan into signing financial documents without reading them. Emily's face turned bright red. You? I cut her off. I have screenshots, your messages, your transactions, everything. I turned back to Ethan, my voice steady. Your family isn't just selfish, they're criminals. Richard's fist slammed onto the table. Enough! I met his furious gaze without flinching. You don't get to decide that anymore. Ethan was breathing hard, staring at his parents like they were strangers. His mother finally spoke, her voice trembling. Ethan, honey, everything we did was to help you. We were only trying to protect you. His voice was sharp, broken. Just stop. His mother flinched. For the first time, she looked afraid. She realized Ethan wasn't under their control anymore. He looked at the divorce papers they had tried to force me to sign, then at the ones I had brought, the ones that would end their grip on him. His voice was quiet but firm. What do we do next? I smiled. First, I said, sliding a pen across the table, you sign my papers. Ethan stared at the pen. His hands were still shaking, but his anger remained. His eyes stayed locked onto his parents. His mother looked pale, her lips pressed into a tight line. Richard looked like he was about to explode. Emily was seething, her face red with frustration. If Ethan signed those papers, everything his family had built, their control over him, their access to his money, would crumble. Before Ethan could grab the pen, Richard jumped to his feet. His chair screeched against the hardwood floor. No, he roared, his voice low and threatening. You are not signing that. Ethan flinched, but I didn't. Oh, he's signing it, I said smoothly. And after that, we're pressing charges, fraud, identity theft, stealing money, you name it. A forensic accountant is going to have a field day with this. Richard's face went beet red, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. You think you can walk into my house and threaten me? He growled. I smirked. Not a threat, just a fact. Linda's voice was shaky, but she tried to keep it calm. Ethan, please, she begged. Think about your family. Everything we did was to help you. Ethan looked at her, his voice broken but firm. You stole from me. You lied. You almost made me lose my home. She reached for his hand, but he pulled away like her touch burned him. Please, sweetheart, she whispered. We love you. I let out a short laugh. Funny way of showing it. I turned to Emily, who had gone strangely quiet. No smart remarks, Emily? No insults? I taunted. Or are you just now realizing how screwed you are? Emily's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She glanced at her parents, then back at me, then at Ethan. Then she snapped. You want the truth? She spat, stepping toward me. I raised an eyebrow. Go ahead, I love the truth. Emily sneered. Fine, you were never part of this family. We only tolerated you. The only reason my parents didn't kick you out sooner was because Ethan was too stupid to see through you." Ethan's fists clenched. "Emily." But she wasn't finished. "You're nothing without Ethan," she said bitterly. "What will you do when this is over? Ethan's success? That came from us. His connections? Ours. His opportunities? Ours." I just smiled, watching as the last shred of their mask crumbled. They had already lost. Ours. Take him away, and you'll see how fast your life falls apart. I tilted my head. "Is that so?" Emily crossed her arms, smirking. "Yeah, go ahead, leave, divorce him, take your little revenge. But in the end, we win." I chuckled, then, without breaking eye contact, I pulled out another folder. Her smirk disappeared. "What's that?" she demanded. I grinned. "Oh, Emily," I said, tapping the folder against my hand. "Did you really think I wouldn't dig deep before coming here?" I tossed the folder onto the table, right next to the divorce papers. "Let's talk about embezzlement." Emily froze. Richard's head snapped toward her so fast it was like he'd been slapped. "What?" I nodded at the folder. "Turns out little Miss Perfect has been stealing money from her own family's accounts for years." Emily's face went pale. "That's a lie." I flipped open the folder and laid out the evidence. Bank records, fake invoices, payments to herself disguised as business expenses. I slid a specific page toward Ethan. "And the best part?" I smiled. "Recognize this name?" Ethan read it, his eyes going wide. "This is Derek." Emily's expression turned wild. "Shut up!" Ethan looked at her, hurt and furious. "The Derek you said was just a friend? The guy you swore you never had anything with?" Silence. "Well," I said, shaking my head, "not only did you steal from your own family, but you were funneling money to your side piece." Emily lunged at me, but Richard grabbed her arm. "Is this true?" His voice was low and dangerous. Emily yanked her arm away, but didn't answer. She couldn't. Her father's face twisted with rage. "You idiot!" he shouted. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Linda's hands flew to her mouth. "Emily, tell me this isn't true." But the look on Emily's face said everything. "Oh, this was good." Ethan turned to me. "How long have you known?" I shrugged. "A couple of months. I wanted to be sure before saying anything." He looked exhausted. Unbelievable. Richard was still flipping through the pages, his hands shaking. This is a disaster." "Yup," I said cheerfully. "And now, it's your problem." I turned to Ethan. "Sign the papers, let's end this." He looked around, at his mother crying into her hands, his father staring blankly at the table, and Emily, trembling with rage. Finally, he picked up the pen and signed. Their control over him? Gone. Richard clenched the edge of the table, his voice dripping with anger. "You're going to regret this." I smiled. "I doubt it." I picked up my papers, grabbed Ethan's hand, and walked out, leaving their perfect world in ruins. Revenge is best served slow and out in the open. Phase 1. Financial destruction. I handed all the evidence over to a lawyer and a forensic accountant, and when you mess with money the way they did, the IRS gets very interested. Within weeks, Richard's business was under investigation. His fake reports and shady loans? Exposed. And since they used their house as collateral for their failed investments, the bank came knocking. Their big fancy house in Savannah? Gone. Their luxury cars? Repossessed. Even their family business, passed down for generations, collapsed under lawsuits and unpaid debts. I heard from a friend that Linda had a total breakdown when the bank took their house. Did I feel bad? Not at all. Emily, the so-called golden child, thought she was untouchable. She wasn't. The money she stole, the fake invoices, the payments to Derek, I handed everything over. And just like that, her perfect little world started crumbling. With Richard's business collapsing, there was no one left to cover for Emily. She was charged with fraud, money laundering, and theft. When she got arrested, I actually popped open a bottle of champagne. She tried to play the victim, sobbing to anyone who would listen, but it didn't work. I made sure her employer knew everything. She was fired and blacklisted from any company that mattered. And Derek? Oh, he vanished the second things went south, leaving her alone to deal with the wreckage. Last I heard, she was stuck working a miserable job, drowning in debt, and completely shunned by the high society crowd she once bragged about. Good riddance. Ethan and I finalized our divorce quickly. I got everything I deserved, my share of our assets, the house they tried to gamble away, and peace of mind. Ethan wasn't innocent in all of this. He had let his family walk all over him for too long. But once he saw the truth, he cut all ties with Richard, Linda, and Emily. I'll give him credit, he didn't fight the divorce, he signed everything, apologized for being blind to the truth, and walked away from them forever. As for me, I took my settlement, moved to a new city, and built a happy new life for myself. A life where I was finally free. The last thing I did, I made sure everyone knew the truth. The rich families they used to impress, the business contacts, the so-called friends. Instead of success, their family name became synonymous with shame. No one wanted to be seen with them. They were ruined. And me? I was thriving. Revenge isn't always about getting back at someone. Sometimes it's about letting them destroy themselves. And I got to watch the whole thing. The end. What do you think? Did I do the right thing? After everything they put me through, the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal, I chose to stand up for myself and take back my life. I walked away with my freedom, my dignity, and my future intact, while they were left to deal with the consequences of their own greed. But was it enough? Was I too harsh? Or did they get exactly what they deserved? I want to hear from you. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have handled things differently? Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And if you've ever had to break free from toxic family members or manipulative in-laws, share your story. I know I'm not the only one who has faced this kind of betrayal, and your experiences could help someone else find their own strength. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's this: never ignore the red flags. People will show you exactly who they are if you pay attention. Trust your instincts, protect yourself, financially, emotionally, and legally. If something feels off, it probably is. You don't owe anyone your silence, your loyalty, or your future if they've already proven they don't deserve it. So tell me, what advice would you give to someone in my position? What lessons from my story could others apply to their own lives? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you believe in standing up for yourself and never letting anyone take advantage of you, hit the like button, share this story, and subscribe for more. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't just getting justice, it's thriving despite them.